im Großen und Ganzen geht es hier ein bisschen besser. Ja? Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yashoda
Nitya Lila Bhavishtu Vishnu Paramahansa Parivrada Kachasta Sisiman Abhochan Naravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Bhavishtu Vishnu Paramahansa Parivrada Kachasta Sisiman Srila Bhakti Kakak Shrida Deva Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Vishwadas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Bhavishtu Vishnu Paramahansa Parivrada Kachasta Sisiman Srila Satchitananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Nanda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Bose Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shama Veda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaura Premananda Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Vimala Harijan Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Gopalji Ki Jai. Bad-Homburg Yatra Ki Jai. Deutschland Yatra Ki Jai. Innsbruck Yatra Ki Jai. Berlin Yatra Ki Jai. Stuttgart Yatra Jai. München Yatra Ki Jai. Kapfenberg Yatra Ki Jai. Köln Yatra Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sollen wir lieber Englisch sprechen? Spanisch ist nicht für alle. Deutsch, auch nicht schlecht, spricht ja auch schon alle Deutsch. Janket spricht auch schon Deutsch.
I don't know.
Oh. You understand when I speak German?
Your German is more sophisticated.
Oh. Yes, since we are on Skype, should be more universal, so I will speak English. I'm a bit nostalgic. After leaving Vrindavan. Happy in one way that we are doing something about the our devotees, we love the Yamuna obviously. All devotees love Yamuna. Yamuna is a life-giving source. Yamuna has given so much to us. It's part of Krishna's lila, important, very, very dear personification of Yamuna. And now Yamuna needs us to reciprocate in a way. Lots of noise has to be made. Lots of noise. Very serious noise from all levels. I can remember when the river Rhine was so dirty that the fish would die all the way up to the North Sea. Millions of fish. Long time ago. But when they saw that disaster, they started making severe regulations on the companies who were putting their dirty water into the Rhine. So I think today the Rhine is not so dirty anymore and also has fish again living in it. So it's a good sign. It shows it can be done. A river is actually a lifeline. And if the river is not being respected appropriately, then this is a very severe problem for the people. In our case, river Yamuna is Krishna's pastimes place, and that makes it again extraordinarily important. And river Yamuna and Vrindavan also cannot be separated. They come with each other, they live together. What the local administration is doing there seems to be very, very careless. Well, it doesn't seem to, it is. And the amount of protest it deserves has not been given. The amount of protest necessary for counteracting the irresponsibility of not only the government but the whole people, who really dump all their plastic into the fluids, plastics and anything. So the fluids, they're supposed to go to somewhere, so they end up in the river Yamuna there. So all this is, of course, it's the same problem in many other places, so it's, you can imagine what the river looks like after passing by New Delhi. Plus there's other severe problems with the Yamuna regarding irrigation, that most of the water of the Yamuna doesn't reach the ocean anyway, because it is being used for agriculture. I mean, when you got 1 billion people living in a place, you can understand it will be a hard job to argue with them not to use water from the river, which they need to water to wet their agriculture fields. In the Yamuna means that in Haryana they take a channel, almost all the Yamuna water disappears right there. In Delhi, other tributaries of the Yamuna form again a river, and in Delhi that disappears. So practically the whole river gets swallowed on the way down to Vrindavan already. So that gives you a kind of the scenario what's happening with this beautiful river. That we get any water in Vrindavan to a certain degree is surprising, because water is scarce. And what's going there is already considered black waters from other cities. But it's a river still, with a strong flow. with a big river, still. So our service to this river, now trying to bring it back to Vrindavan with the dredging or with other influences, there's a lot to be done. And that's exciting. The big noise to be made that the government crashes on any type of pollutions along the banks of the river from Gangotri down, that is also possible. India has become such a wealthy country you cannot imagine. Actually, one doesn't know where all this wealth comes from, but it's there. When you go into Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, and all these places, you have the sky rises popping out of the ground like mushrooms. Just boom, 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 everywhere, and huge, fancy build. So it's not that India is poverty-stricken, that it cannot deal with these types of things. Somehow or other they have not awoken to the real necessity of it. In Rishikesh they did take care of River Ganges. They did do a very nice job, and in Haridwar also. More consciousness about the holy rivers in Uttarakhand. But in Uttar Pradesh, it is very lamentable, the state of the political affairs. Anyhow, that's also a pastime, right? And that we are sitting here in Germany today, this morning, and are concerned with the river Yamuna. It's also part of this pastime, awakening our emotions for the holy Dham and for everything connected to Krishna, and sending a protest note to every Indian, not only to the government, to every Indian and to every tourist who goes there as well, that do not be careless with Mother Yamuna, do not abuse her, do not damage the lifeline of the whole Yamuna basin. And that goes into the Ganga basin, that touches us all the way down to Mayapur, where again the river Ganga is a very, very substantial river. So the situation is very touching. And the devotees, we are symbolically cleaning the beach of Yamuna. That beach, that project is called Narottam Das Thakur Seva Project, because this is the beach where Lokanath Goswami, his guru, was doing his necessities in the morning and then took his shower in the Yamuna. In those days that was the way, and even today for many Brijbasis that's the way how their day starts. So this very beach, which could be a little bit different, there's even public bathrooms there, but people are accustomed to go into the country. It's actually a very nice beach. We are fortunate in Vrindakunja to be only 10 minutes walk from that actually strip of beach, which is like just after Keshigat all the way to Devrahababa and further on. We're talking about 2 kilometers of the most serene Vrindavan scenario, because the Yamuna is making a large curve there, and sometimes in flood times it covers that whole area, but in that curve you can really get a little bit of the sense of what Vrindavan is like, with the Vrindavan skylight in your back, with all the temple towers coming up. So this is where we usually go every morning on our morning walk and sing Jai Radha Kunja Bihari. This song, which our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada cherished so much, that he was singing it practically daily before his classes. It was the standard song, Prabhupada singing Jaya Radha Madhava. Giving us a real wonderful picture of the Leela of Vrindavan, Radha Madhava, the beloved divine couple. What can be said? What can be said more about Radha Madhava? The divine couple is really the origin of the principle of divine mercy manifestation, because Radha Madhava, they are loving each other so much, they are a couple. So we can say that Radha Madhava is the divinity, God's divinity in the form of the Supreme Purusha and the Supreme Prakriti, in a constant competition of emphasizing the importance of the other, not of themselves. And this is, it's a great celebration, this couple of not competing, but wanting to share the mercy of the other with the whole world. There is so much mystical transaction going in there. So we are not worshipping a lusty couple. This is not... Their love for each other is on such a high level of love that it's even very highly prohibited to consider that there is a lusty, mundane transaction going on. And when you go deeper in the Krishna Leela and you study more and more about it, then you can understand that the whole Vaishnava Siddhanta, the whole philosophy is like the ornamented garlands around the Radha Krishna Leela. This is like, it is all connected. There's nothing unwanted, nothing strange whatsoever in this. All the contrary, it solves all the problems, it remedies all this, all the ailments and sadnesses in the individual's heart. It's really something, you know. Radha Krishna, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari is also very meaningful. Is that they are playful, their game of spiritual love is exhibited in the Kunja. The Kunja is Vrindavan. The Kunja is the opening in the forest, the beautiful clean river, and in that there is the divine couple. So it's very, very idealistic. It's if you may call it so. We prefer the word transcendentally beautiful, Sundaram, and that is a little bit more idealistic, as a kind of a human mental description. And Krishna is much more than that. So, but anyhow, it's also very idealistic to see this incredible love couple. Now that this loving couple is actually the origin of all that exists. That means everything you see, everything we are, everything what makes this world, it all comes from this divine loving couple. That in itself is the wonder of wonders. It is most amazing that you can draw back your existence to this divine couple, this divine beauty, this divine existence of Purusha Prakriti, Para Prakriti love. For example, you must have sometimes thought in your life that the supreme origin of all living entities must be a person, because my father was a person, my mother was a person, grandfather, grandmother was a person. So always, without any change, we have to derive that actually the living entity does come into existence by some sexual contact, because we cannot conceive of anything ever changing the system, because the father-mother function, well, it's just too powerful, because no woman ever in the history of this world has ever been able to produce